Hello and welcome to today's session in our Fall Proven Learning series. My name is Amanda Owen and I will be walking you through the Proven Web Accounting Timecard approval process. Before we begin today's session, let's review a few housekeeping items. All attendees have been muted during today's session to cut down on background noise, and your videos are automatically turned off to avoid any distractions. This session's recording will be available via our PSA Help Library, in addition to our company's YouTube channel. Any questions that you have during today's session will need to be directed to our PSA support team, which can be reached at support@canmsys.com. Today, we will review the needed role security in Proven Accounting and Proven Jobs to complete the Timecard review and approval process. We will talk about the Proven Timecard rules and exceptions that can be set up to aid in streamlining your payroll process, and we will dive into the full Timecard review and approval and the posting of payroll within Proven Accounting. We are starting today's session with our Proven Accounting web platform to review user security settings for Timecard approval. Within the role security, we will need to determine what actions this role will need to complete in the Timecard approval or payroll process. Creating and maintaining employee records, maintaining employee rate information, employee timecard entry, updating job costs, labor transfer, and payroll reporting. Employee records can be entered in either Proven Jobs or Proven Accounting, and the employee records do sync bidirectionally. The employee record security settings are as follows. View grants the user the ability to view an employee record. Update gives the ability to modify employee records. Insert grants the ability to create employee records. And delete grants the user the ability to delete employee records. Employee rates are entered and maintained within Proven Accounting web only. Only employees authorized to view employee rates should have these security settings as shown. To grant the user the ability to enter and manage employee rates, the Employee Rates box should be checked. Timecards are a one-way sync from Proven Jobs to Proven Accounting. Timecards should only be created and modified from the Proven Jobs platform. The settings shown give the user the ability to view, modify, and delete timecards in Proven Accounting, but the ability to create a timecard has not been granted. And the final Proven Accounting role security we will review are the update job cost and the payroll labor transfer. The update job cost is the tool that will post the timecards to the job file. Once the update job cost has been ran, the cost will then be viewable on the job files. Transfer labor is a tool that can, when needed, move posted labor costs from one job to another. And the payroll labor transfer is our tool that grants the user the ability to export the payroll data to a text or CSV file. A recommended process to follow when a new employee is onboarded is to create their employee record in either Proven Jobs or Proven Accounting. Once the record is available within Proven Accounting, the employee rates will need to be entered. Once complete, the employee can be set up as a user within the Proven Jobs web and be granted access to begin utilizing the clock in and clock out feature. Following the above process will ensure timecards sync with all rate information and will eliminate missing rate errors. Let's quickly review how to set up and maintain our employee rates of pay. From our left-hand panel in Proven Accounting, we'll go to Employees, and we'll search for our employee record. We'll go to the Rates tab. We will add our employee's rate type by clicking the magnifying glass to the right of the description. Once our Select Description window pops up, we can select our rate of pay, such as regular. Now I will enter in the employee's rate of pay. An employee's rate of pay is the amount of money your company is paying the employee per hour. Once the hourly rate of pay is entered, I will click Save. We can continue adding rate types and rates of pay as needed, such as overtime. We have the option to select a rate of pay as a default per employee. We recommend setting the default as a regular pay type. I will check the box to the far right of the default column for regular. When an employee receives a rate of pay increase, we can simply click in the rate field and enter the new rate amount. These rate types will sync to Proven Jobs Management employee record. However, employee rates and rate types should only be managed from Proven Accounting. Let's move to Proven Jobs and review user role securities for Timecard approval. We'll go to Settings and Roles. Roles are the Proven Job security roles, and by enabling a security setting within a role, we will give any employee with that specific role type the added or removed security. It is recommended that only one role type be assigned to each user. Assigning multiple role types will limit an employee's security level to the lowest role security. Each employee whose time will be tracked and/or job costed will need the ability to clock in and out. To enable this feature, you'll go to Settings, Roles, open the role type, select Jobs, and go to Time Clocks. Now let's review the Timecard approval security role settings. For users that will be approving time cards, the following settings are recommended. Again, to enable these features, you will go to Settings, Roles, open the role type, select Jobs, and go to Time Cards. Create gives the user the ability to create a time card for an employee. Create Own gives the user the ability to create their own time card. Edit gives the user the ability to modify a time card record. Recover gives the ability to recover a deleted time card. Timecard Approval gives the user the ability to approve time cards. Timecard Approval Setup grants access to our Timecard Approval Setup menu. This setting should be limited to administrators only. Timecard Approve All. This setting gives the ability to approve all time cards within the selected payroll cycle. This setting should be limited to avoid approving time cards that have not yet been reviewed or approved for transfer. Resync. It is recommended that this setting not be enabled. Having this setting enabled will give the user the ability to send a time card record to Proven Accounting a second time. Resyncing a time card will create a duplicate time card record in Proven Accounting. Transfer gives the user the ability to transfer a time card record to Proven Accounting. Unpost gives the user the ability to unpost a time card and modify the time card. This setting again should be limited. View is the ability to view time card records, and View Own limits the user's visibility of time card records to only their time card records. Now that our user role securities are in place, let's move on to our time card setup. From Company Settings, we'll go to Jobs and Time Card. Our time card rules are meant to help streamline your payroll process. Proven Jobs gives your company the option to round time cards to the nearest 1 minute, 5, 10, 15, etc. The time card period selection will determine how Proven Jobs calculates using the time card rate rules and your company's time card approval cycle. Next is first day and week. This is the first day of your payroll cycle in the week. Our timecard rate rules. Within the rules section, we can determine what rate an employee clocks into and how long they can be clocked in at that rate. For example, here we can see our timecard period is set at a week. I want my employees to clock in at a regular rate for 40 hours max. Once an employee reaches 40 hours for that week, the employee will be clocked out of the regular rate and automatically clocked into the overtime rate, and will continue to clock in to the overtime rate for the remainder of the payroll period. Next is our timecard exceptions. Most commonly, we see clients use this feature to pay their employees an elevated rate based on when they clock in, or to automatically deduct a lunch hour. Here we can see 3 descriptions. Our descriptions are for an on-call rate. With an on-call rate, when an employee clocks in between the hours of 5 p.m. to 11:59 p.m., they will be clocked in at an on-call rate. Having these features enabled can cut down on timecard modification each week and eliminate the need to manually calculate overtime and on-call rates. Now let's review our timecard approval settings. From Company Settings, we will go again to the Jobs section and the Jobs tab, and we'll go to our Edit Timecard Approval Setup. Within our timecard approval setup, we can choose an employee type. By clicking the wrench, we can choose a project manager. By selecting an employee type as an approver, the employee must be added to the job file as that relationship employee type to be able to approve time cards for that job. As an example, I have added PM as my approver type. A PM type will need to be associated to the job file to approve any time cards associated to that specific job. Next, we have our contacts. From our contacts selection, we can choose an internal contact as our approver. Assigning a specific contact means that the specific user will be responsible to approve all time cards. A suggested approval hierarchy would be a project manager, and then a company's HR representative or an office manager. We do not recommend doing more than a 2-tier approval process, as having more than 2 can potentially cause delays. Each approver must approve their time cards in order for the next approver to be able to complete their approval stage. Our final option is our employee supervisor approver. By choosing this option, we can assign a supervisor to the employee record. That supervisor is then responsible for approving their employees' time cards. To select this option, we'll click the star icon and click Add. Once your approver is in place, click Save at the top left. Please note that changes to the approval setup mid-payroll cycle is not possible. The payroll cycle approvals will need to be completed and proven jobs prior to making these changes to the approval setup. Because I have added employee supervisor to my approval level, I will need to add the supervisors to my employee records. To do this, I will go to Proven Jobs, Relationships, and Contacts. I will navigate to my employee record and click Edit, and I will go to the Timecard tab. In the Employee Supervisor field, I will add my employee supervisor. Additionally, I can add a backup supervisor in case the primary supervisor is on vacation. Once in place, click Save. Now that we have our settings in place, let's review time cards. We'll go to Jobs and Time Cards. Within our time card screen, we have the options to create a time card, copy a time card, and time card approval. Next, we have our date range. Here we can change our range of dates from our payroll cycle. Additionally, we can filter our columns to limit our data to a single employee, a job, a labor category, a date, and description. We also have the ability to add or remove columns from our view. By clicking the column Show Hide, we can include or eliminate unwanted columns. From our timecard screen, I can open a timecard by clicking Edit. Once within the timecard, I can change the employee, the job file, I can add a work order or change the work order, and the category and selector. If needed, I can modify the start and end time, in the instance an employee forgot to clock out, and I can enter a description. If any modifications are made, click Save at the top or Back to List to leave without saving. To delete a duplicate or a bad timecard, we can simply click the Delete button. By clicking Delete, the timecard will be removed from our timecard list and placed in our Recover Deleted section of Proven Jobs. Let's discuss our status column. This column tells us the status of a particular timecard. Depending on your company's timecard approval setup, your statuses may vary from my training database. Our timecard statuses are as follows. Not transferred. This indicates that the timecard has not been approved or transferred to a proven accounting web. Not synced. This indicates that there is a potential issue with the employee's record and/or the timecard. If you see this as a status, open the timecard and review the message in red letters indicating there is an issue. A typical error may read, "There is an issue syncing this timecard. Please make sure that the employees exist in PSA and that all employees have a technician entry with the same ID, and also that the employees have their rates entered into PSA." Another status is partially approved. This status indicates that one of the timecard approvers have approved the timecard. Transfer or an approved status indicates that the timecard has been approved and has transferred to Proven Accounting Web. Now let's take a look at how to review timecards for approval. To get to our timecard approval, we will click the blue timecard approval button at the top of our timecard screen. Again, depending on your company's timecard approval setup, this button may be named Transfer. Additionally, depending on your company's setup, this module may be laid out differently. Let's take a look at a few examples. With no timecard approver in place, a user with the timecard approver security access can access the timecard transfer screen. From here, we can choose our payroll period, and we'll choose our employee from our drop-down. With a two-tier approval setup, we now have more options. Our first is our From date. Here we will select the first date of our payroll cycle, and then the next is our To date, where we will enter the ending date of our payroll cycle. Once the payroll dates are selected, click Load Timecards. Timecards will load and a drop-down to toggle between employees will appear. Now that we know what to expect and the differences depending on your company's settings, let's review those timecards. By clicking Timecard Approval, I will be taken into the Timecard Approval screen. I will enter my payroll dates and I'll click Load Timecards. Next, I will choose the employee from the drop-down list. Depending on your approval hierarchy, only employees with timecards ready for your approval will be visible. If an employee does not show in the list, it is possible the prior approval has not been received. To the right, we can see total hours worked for this cycle. Here we see a regular of 21 hours. And below are each of the timecard entries for this payroll cycle for this specific employee. We can see the punch-in time and the punch-out time. We can see the rate of pay and the hours worked at that rate. If needed, I can change the timecard hours. I can click within the start time and modify as needed. Click Done. I can click in the end time and change. And now the amount of hours worked for that time period have updated. Additionally, I can add a secondary rate of pay to this timecard. I will click the blue plus icon to add a new rate type, and I will click the drop-down in the New Rate Type field to add a new rate type such as overtime. I will enter the amount of hours worked at this rate. Because this time card is only for 7.75 hours, I cannot exceed a total hours of that amount. Because I have exceeded that amount, the line has turned yellow. I can modify this back to 7, removing the 0.75, and now my time card is correct. Once all modifications have been made, we are ready to approve this employee's time cards. We can select a time card one at a time by checking the box to the far right under Approved, or we can place a check in the Approve column header to select this employee's time cards only. Now that our time cards have been selected, we will navigate to the top of the screen and click Approved Selected. Please note if you have the role security that allows you to select all time cards for all employees, make sure that all time cards have been fully reviewed and are ready to be approved. Selecting all time cards for all employees in combination with clicking Approve Selected will approve and transfer all time cards for the selected payroll cycle to Proven Accounting. Once we click Approve Selected, we'll receive a notification bar and we can click Yes to transfer. Please note that approving and transferring time cards does not post the labor costs to the job file. Accounting will need to do their final review and run the Update Job Cost function. Once the time cards have been job cost updated via Proven Accounting, the labor costs will then be visible on the Job Financials tab and Job Cost Reporting. Now that we've transferred some time cards, let's review Proven Accounting. Within Proven Accounting, we will navigate to our left-hand panel to Employees and Time Card Entry. Here we can see a list of our employees. To open Employees Time Card, search for your employee record and click Select. Once within our Employees Time Card screen, we will see all time cards that have been transferred from Proven Jobs. Here we can see our job number, a work order number, if one was associated, our time card category, selector, the date of the time card, a start and end time, which is in military time, total hours worked, the rate of pay the hours worked at, our description, and our final column is our JC update. This column will indicate if the time card has been job cost updated. True is yes, the time card has been job cost updated, or false, the time card has not been job cost updated. When reviewing time cards, I like to apply a filter. The filter I like, I will go to Filter, Add New Criteria. In my column, I will choose Date. The filter I will choose Between, and I will enter my payroll cycle I'm reviewing and click Done. And I will click Search to apply, and now I can view time cards for my specific payroll cycle only. If needed, a final review can be done within Proven Accounting. If for any reason a time card needs to be modified, the modification must take place in Proven Jobs, and the modifications should be completed before time cards are posted within Proven Accounting. Modifying and approving a time card a second time will create a duplicate time card entry in Proven Accounting. Let's take a closer look at this process. During my final review within Proven Accounting, I noticed a time card on 10/15 that has too many hours. I will need to navigate back to Proven Jobs, Time Cards, locate my time card, and click Edit to the right. Now I'll click Unpost. I'll get a notification that it was unposted. Now I can modify the time card as needed. And I'll click Save. Now we can see our time card status changed from transferred to not transferred. Because I have a time card approval in place, I will need to complete the time card approval process a second time. I will go to Time Card Approval, select my dates, and load time cards. I will locate the time card needing to be reapproved, place a check to select it, and navigate back to the top and approve selected. And I will click yes to approve. Now we must return to Proven Accounting and remove the duplicate time card. Within our employees' time card records, we can now see that we have 2 time cards for the same date. We will need to remove the incorrect time card. We will click the ellipses to the far left and click delete. And we'll say yes. Now that our time cards have passed the final accounting review, we are ready to run our job cost update. From our left-hand panel, we'll go to Jobs, and Calculations, and Update Job Cost. We will enter the last date of our payroll cycle, and we'll click Update Job Cost. We will receive a notification that this action is non-reversible. What this message means is that we are about to post all time cards up to the stop date. The action is not reversible, meaning that we are unable to mass unpost all time cards. However, in the instance that a time card does need to be unposted, they can be unposted one at a time. The final review has been completed, all times are correct, so I will go ahead and click yes to proceed. If you receive an exception report, like the one on my screen, this means that none of the time cards have posted. All time cards with an exception will need to be resolved of all errors before time cards will post. The most common time card exception error is a missing rate, and I can see the reason for the exception in the far right column. This error means that the time card was transferred to Proven Accounting, but the rate type 1 did not exist at the time of transfer, or the rate is not associated to the employee record. To resolve this error, first we will check the employee's records in Proven Accounting to ensure the rate types have been applied. If a rate is missing from the employee list of rates, we will need to add it now. Then we will go to the time card entry and add the missing rate. Once all time cards are corrected, we can run our update job cost once again. I have completed the review of employee records to ensure each of my employees with the exception error have a rate tied to their employee record. Now I've gone into my employees' time card entries. I can see that Alex Kirkland has 3 time cards with a missing rate. These time cards will need to have the rate added to them in order for the time card to post. I will go to the ellipses, and I will go to Edit, and in the rate section, I will choose their rate of pay. I will click Update. And I will repeat this process for each time card for each employee. Now that all time card exceptions have been resolved, we can go back to Jobs, Calculations, Update Job Cost. We'll enter our stop date, and we'll click Update Job Cost. We'll say yes, and we've received a notification that our data has been updated. This indicates that all time cards for that period have been posted to our jobs. Now that our job costs have been posted, let's review how to print our payroll report. We'll go to Reports, and Jobs, and Payroll Time. We'll enter our time frame. We have the ability to filter by employee, or we can do all employees, and then we'll click Search. And here we can see the employee's time for that payroll cycle. We have 57 regular and 0.75 overtime. To export this, we'll go to Tools, Export, and choose our file type. This concludes the Proven Accounting time card approval process and job cost updating. All time cards have been approved and job costs have been updated. Any job cost reporting and labor costs can now be reviewed. Thank you for joining me today, and if you have any additional questions, please email us at support@canamsys.com.